Hello and welcome to another episode of Pyro Unleashed. Tune in weekly as Donnie and David discuss all things pyro, from the business aspect of the industry to technical tips and mesmerizing pyro designs. On Pyro Unleashed, we invite cutting-edge experts to the podcast to discuss their role in making this industry a success. So, sit back and unleash your inner pyro with us.
Episode 16. How's it going, Donnie?
It's going good. This is the season finale.
The season finale. Yeah, we made it 16 episodes.
We did. It made a full season without getting canceled.
Right.
So must have been doing something right.
Yeah, we was it statistically, if you make it more than 10 episodes, you're in the 25 percentile of all podcasts. So
I don't know. I mean, people keep listening, so
yeah.
we'll keep doing it as long as people keep listening.
Yeah.
So
appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, it's been a good season. So we're gonna good show, I think, here to wrap it out tonight.
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah.
We'll hop in here, close out our season here with our sponsorship from Dominator Fireworks. They're a China-based supplier of all things pyrotechnics, from sparklers to 8-inch display shells and everything in between. Dominator offers almost double the SKUs of other suppliers, and Dominator Fireworks was established almost 2 decades ago and has been a reliable, trusted supplier in the industry since 2005. Dominator has been a lifelong supporter of the PGI, NFA, APA, countless regional clubs and organizations, and now the Pyro Unleashed podcast.
Yes, that's correct.
Yep. Thanks to Ed and Dominator for supporting us here the second half of the season 1, and it's been nice having them on board with us.
It has. Yeah, it really has been nice. And then Discord, that's been going well. Had several really cool people join in the last couple of weeks. So
yeah,
really
absolutely.
appreciate it.
Yeah, there was some discussion on there this week after the episode with Garrison.
Yeah, that was interesting.
That was a good episode.
It was a really good episode. Yeah, lots of good information.
I think the interview went great.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I haven't heard any backlash or bad talking.
No, in fact, I've actually had people like coming to me saying, "Hey, you should get Cody B on now that you've had Garrison on. Let's get the other side of the story, and he can share it on his Facebook or his YouTube, and we can share it on ours, and I think it'll be really good. So
yeah,
have to see what we can come up with for season 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely for sure. So, all right, you want to introduce tonight's guest, since you are definitely more familiar with him than I am.
We have Bryan with RKM Fireworks. How's it going, Bryan?
Oh, it's going peachy.
Going peachy. Staying busy at work, I guess. I mean, I guess we all are. So
constantly, yes.
That time of year where no sleep for any of us, but
none whatsoever. Yeah.
Yeah. So. All right. So how long have you been in fireworks?
Oh, it depends on when you say into fireworks. I mean, I've enjoyed fireworks my entire life. I wanted to be a pyrotechnician growing up and through high school and stuff, and never really could find an outlet for it or a educational facility that would, I guess, educate me in that career path. So I kind of gave up on it.
Yeah.
Did a bunch of other crazy stuff, and eventually I came across Heartland Pyrotechnics.
Oh yeah.
Association, and joined the club, and one thing led to another, and I kind of got hooked in with RKM Fireworks, started shooting shows, and ended up buying out, another crew basically of all their shows, and just kind of steamrolled into managing the company at that point because Ron was wanting to back out a little bit, and that was It's
been what,
2010, like 2008, I think is when I started officially shooting.
Okay.
Okay. But
and then
when it comes to that.
Yeah. And then you're currently buying RKM out, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
that should be finished next year.
Yeah.
Then I guess I'm the owner of RKM Fireworks.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah.
Yep. I
Lots.
long for the days of being a regular employee and just being told what to do and doing my job, punching out and going home. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because managing is not a 9 to 5. That's for sure.
Nope.
So, when did you start to purchase RKM?
Oh, we talked about it off and on since 2014. I think it's kind of been a 5-year plan.
Okay.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Very
At this
good.
point,
Very good.
yeah. COVID messed it all up. So
Yeah. Yeah. There's
as it did everything.
a lot of challenges during COVID for sure. And how long has RKM been around?
Oh, it gets to be confusing because I believe 91 was officially when it was kind of created.
Yeah.
So what's that? Ugh. Math is hard
Yeah.
when you're sleep deprived.
22, 23 years, somewhere in there, I think. Yeah. Sorry.
33-ish,
Yeah.
32, 33.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what kind of led you to like want to manage and then decide to buy RKM? Like, um, what were some of the like deciding factors in doing that?
So prior to this whole endeavor, I was IT manager. So I come from a management background.
Okay.
Um, talking with Ron, then started managing the company. He wanted to back out at that point in time, or at least take a lesser role in the company.
Yeah.
As we all know, this industry burns you out pretty quick.
Yeah, it does.
So managing, and then it just kind of became, oh, I guess this is what I'm doing now. So let's just keep going forward and see if I can make this work and become my retirement, I guess. Because
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're already there, I think, and just kind of everything, the ball was rolling. I mean, you were managing it. I think Ron seen that, and he was ready to retire, and I think he's in the process of, or he did just retire. So
Yeah, I mean, technically he's retired last October, and he's still doing.
yeah, you still see him every day, or we see him
Yep,
every day.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
So during this process, Ryan, what's some of the challenges that you've kind of faced in this whole purchasing RKM process?
As with most firework companies, challenges are always like staffing, government, finances. I mean, that's I think the biggest issue that most people in this industry face is, as I guess Andy Webb would say, this is a game of storage. So
Yeah, it is.
unless you have proper storage facilities, I mean, that limits you completely. So storage is a huge thing, and then just capital. I mean, borrowing power. Uh, yeah, that's those are the biggest two, is area and capital. Uh, I'd say manpower then, especially after COVID.
Yeah, it's. I know. I mean, I wasn't there full time, but I know just kind of outside looking in, it was getting. I mean, obviously everywhere it was tough to get employees, but especially when you go to try and hire, part-time seasonal work, yeah,
It's ridiculous at this point.
yeah,
Like even COVID like pretty much destroyed that whole. I mean, it's been hard finding people ever since then. It was hard enough prior to that, especially crews, uh, trying to find new leads, new assistants. Everybody just seems to be backing away from this industry.
yeah,
The people that are interested in it, after they experience a hard day's work, they're not really interested anymore. So you got to find people that have the bug or the disease of.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it really does. It really takes a special kind of person to want to do fireworks as a profession, or I mean, even just during the 4th of July. I mean, you have these backyard guys that like to shoot shows, but trying to get them to convert over to doing professional displays it's a challenge.
Oh yeah, our
So
busiest day is the 4th, and they're shooting their own backyard display on the 4th, and they don't want to
right,
give up those parties. And
yeah,
it's special breed for sure.
yeah, most definitely.
Now, when you're as obviously the purchasing RKM, does everything that's assigned to RKM easily transfer over to a new owner, or is there any additional type of things you have to go through to transfer ownership that you wouldn't see in a normal business just because it's fireworks?
Um, so RKM is a corporation, so it's pretty straightforward. You could have a simple contract or a complex contract, but since I'm just outright purchasing the company, it Ron's name gets removed from uh, I want to say the articles of incorporation. We have to do an amendment to that and change the officers and everything, and that's pretty much that. And then the contract binds all the other particulars, and then there's just all the legwork of all the different accounts, and I have to get added to all the bank accounts. I have to get added to all the and then eventually he has to get removed from all these accounts, and
Right. Yeah. And I guess, is it hard to get him removed from, like the ATF license,
no, actually that's a simple email saying please remove so and so as a responsible person. I mean, it is while he's still president of the company.
yeah,
Um, after the changeover, it's just an email.
quick email. Gotcha. Any tips for someone wanting to start their own importing business or firework business in general?
Oh, too many levels there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like what are you talking about? Somebody that wants to start a tent, someone that wants to start a distributor, importer distributor warehouse. Uh, I mean, gosh, what do we say? Basically, there, there's a lot of other industries out there where you can make a lot more money
Oh yeah.
than fireworks. I mean, this is, I want to say everybody that's doing fireworks is in it because of some sort of passion
Or
for
family.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's somehow been passed down through generations. Um, a lot of owners of fireworks businesses have made their money elsewhere, and the
Yeah.
fireworks are a secondary type endeavor for them.
Yep.
So
Yep. No, that makes complete sense.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, because it's a very expensive industry to get. I mean, the bar to pay to play is kind of high if you want to do it legally. If you want
yeah.
to do it illegally, it's real simple.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, I see that quite often with, people selling just out of their garage or just out of the back of their van. That's
yeah,
crazy.
people doing displays with no DOT
Right.
license, insurance, or any of that stuff, and
Right.
yeah.
And tell us a little bit about the brands that RKM carries.
Oh, let's see. I mean, Dominator and the whole Pyrobuy conglomerate. That's one of our biggest ones and longest existing partners that we've had.
Yeah.
They're great. Um, let's see, we do some Winda, some Shogun, uh, and then we got all of our private labels that I guess some of those should remain a secret on who we're partnering with, but
Yeah.
yeah, we got our Class B brand to poke fun at the whole old DOT name that
Yep.
doesn't really exist anymore. What else? Shockwave,
Yeah.
Night Owl.
Yep.
Those are just all our house brands that are, they're all great. They're all
Yeah.
perfect.
Love them. Yeah. And so Shockwave and Class B brand are 1.4 brands, and Night Owl is our 1.4 Pro.
Yep.
Um,
And we also have Shockwave and Night Owl in
and
our
1.3.
display.
That's
Yeah.
correct. Yep. Yep.
Yep.
Go
Now,
ahead.
Brian, do you guys consistently look to potentially bring in new brands to your guys's inventory to kind of kind of feel the consumers that that are looking for some other brands? You guys ever evaluate those?
All the time. The biggest factors is this. Yeah, God, this will bite me for saying it out loud. This industry races to the bottom. I mean, as
Yes, it
soon
does.
as you bring in, let's say, we're going to bring in dancing or wizard or whatever, there's all these other people already carrying that, and they already have their margins. So everybody shops around. Everything's online anymore. So you have to match those prices, and your margins are what they are at that point. Um, you know, everybody knows out there when you're the sole importer and distributor of an item, at least you have a little more flexibility with all that.
Right, right. I mean, it's even down to, I mean, I was at a store yesterday, um, and she was saying like, even for her, it's like everybody is just racing to the bottom. It's not, it's not just the wholesalers. It's all the way out to the retailers. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's
I
crazy.
don't understand it at all. And our little tiny microcosm that we exist in here in central northern Indiana, southern Michigan is notorious for that. And you get into the bigger markets where you're pushing to Detroit, you're pushing to Chicago, and you
Yeah,
just can watch the prices go up exponentially.
yeah,
But where we're at, I don't know. You know, I don't know. I guess I shouldn't talk trash, but it's like, yeah, it's profit's not a dirty word. So
nope, it's
yeah,
not.
yeah,
Yeah,
got to
And
kind of stay in business.
right.
yeah, and then when you look at like new brands, is there an added cost to bring a new brand in for the first time? Do you have to like commit to a large quantity to be able to get a new brand in, or is there, or can you just bring in small amounts?
Um, Depends on the situation, but let's say typically, like I have people all the time that are like, "Hey, I need you to bring in this particular shell from this particular manufacturer." I'm like, "Well, that's great, except I need to meet their MOQ, which is the minimum order quantity, and if that's an assortment, that could be 200 cases potentially of that, which you're pushing a quarter of a container, and then you have to fill the container with their product. There are some, but a lot of the uh, trading companies don't like to mix, you know, competitor stuff in their container.
Right.
There's a couple that'll
Understandably
do it,
so.
but yeah. So
And
that's the biggest issue with bringing in new items, I guess.
yeah. And so I know back in 2020 there was some rule changes to Pro. Do you want to dive into a
Hmm.
little bit as to what Proline is and what Proline was pre 19, sorry, 2019, and what it is post 2020?
Oh boy. So in the early days of Pro, and there's, I would say, two main companies that would love to argue over who was the first to
Most
get it onto the
definitely.
market.
Most
But
definitely.
they definitely spearheaded the whole thing, and props to them. But back then, Proline was UN 0431 Articles Pyrotechnic.
Yes.
Um, Instead of it being close prox, they brought it to, I guess the outdoor display world where uh, this was somewhere in between a consumer item and a display item. So you have this kind of gray area, and of course, I'm sure many people disagree with. There's a lot of gray area between what the CPSC says, what not so much DOT, PHMSA DOT-ish, and then what the ATF says, and they're all their definitions. But for the most part, I would sit there and say that ProLine pre 2020 was basically consumer-ish items that were, I guess, matched or fused in a way that made made it easy for professionals to use it.
Yeah. Setup
So
times and whatnot easier.
yeah,
Yeah.
there wasn't Visco on it. There was eMatch ports, or there was fast fuse, and then there was a lot of proximate, not completely like smokeless or whatever, but more flame effects and single shots and whatnot. As the, I guess, pyromusical industry developed, because what you go way back, everybody's just breaking apart cakes to get their single shots, and
Right.
So that market got filled with Proline or Articles Pyrotechnic, and then the APA introduced their new updated standards, and at that point, everything changed. So now we had specific guidelines that we could make Articles Pyrotechnic. We had 1,000-gram limits for cakes. We had 6-gram limits for salutes. We had, there's still 60-gram limit for your shells, but you could flash them up at that point. So it, basically you could have what were 1-3 cakes now classified as an article pyrotechnic, which was great for, I think, the small display market. You could do small displays completely with articles pyrotechnic. Trying to be on the forefront of it all, we really pushed the idea of the compound cakes, where it's like what was a 1-3 cake that would be 2,000 to 4,000 grams of composition.
Yeah.
But all the shots still fell into this new regulation, and it's like, okay, well, all we have to do is chunk that into 1,000-gram chunks, and now we have the exact same or better cake than what the 1-3 version was before. And once again, small displays, small weddings, it really helps, I think, that market a lot. You don't necessarily need an ATF license.
No storage.
Right. You don't have storage. Yeah. You don't necessarily, if you're under 1,000 pounds, need a CDL with hazmat to transport it. I think it helps the market tremendously.
Yeah.
There's a whole dark side to it, but we don't need to get into that, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and I guess that kind of leads to the question of, like, I know you're talking about ripping apart cakes to make single shots before proline, and obviously Missouri has taken a stance on trying to make some rules and regulations, and say there were some stronger rules to come into play. Like, I mean, in what I see is people are just going to go back to cakes and start ripping single shots out, and it's going to just be unsafe again. So, I mean, I think that there's just such a positive coming out of the pro line that it's making it so much safer. Whereas if something happens to it, then we're gonna revert. I mean, we're gonna go 180, right, and everything's gonna get dangerous again.
Yeah, and I wish more of the powers that be, which are kind of the bigger corporations and insurance companies and whatnot, would understand that fact.
Yes.
The way an insurance company looks at you, the consumer, ripping a cake apart is you have destroyed that cake, and the importer is no longer liable for anybody that gets hurt after that cake has been destroyed like that or taken apart like that. It's not the original device. But if I were to sell you a article single shot and somebody gets hurt with that, they see it, oh, well, that's a liability claim. And I mean, that's the battle we're fighting now. Is a lot of people think that articles pyrotechnic is going to be the death of the industry, that there's going to be all these insurance claims because of it, and then that's just going to spiral down. And there's some truth to that, because there's not many insurance companies left that will insure firework companies.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2?
Last I knew, there was 4.
4, okay.
4 big ones anyway. And then, of course, there's plenty of independent ones that will take on companies, but they don't actively advertise that they would support that industry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So how do you feel RKM has helped improve Proline? I mean, obviously, I know you touched on, we were making compound cakes, but in what other ways has RKM kind of helped improve Proline?
I guess I would say that, like, the people that we partnered with, I think we're making a a quality device.
Yeah.
That being said, you're always going to have issues when China's making hundreds or thousands of a device. You're always going to have flaws in it. That's fireworks, and that's why you get trained to use them. But let's see. We're trying to be a little bit innovative in effects. Gosh, I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, this is a
Yeah, it's kind of a loaded question. Yeah.
this is what we roundtable about all the time. It's like,
Yeah.
what's the next new thing? What can we push? What can China make
Right.
versus other countries? And
Yeah, and I know, like, we try and strive to produce things that can go not only in a pyromusical but do look good. Maybe somebody's just backyard show that they're pressing buttons or whatnot. So the fact
right.
that it's made, by pyros for pyros, by pyro scripters for pyro scripters. I mean, to me, that says a lot about the quality of the product, and just, I mean, maybe I'm biased, but like the care that we put into producing these effects.
Yeah, well, we try to take customer feedback. We try to constantly evolve and change the product. There was people initially using it that it's like, oh, on the compound cakes, you're connecting each cake together with an in and an out, and unless you tape those down to the side and secure them, the last shell or that last row could break that chain there.
Yeah.
So it's like we try to do more instructions, but everybody that buys fireworks reads the instructions that
Yeah,
is in the
everybody
box with
does.
it.
Yeah.
But we'll try to get videos out there to try to prove or push the point. And some of the new compound cakes that we have now have stickers inside of them to help
Yeah.
adhere the
The fuse
connections
stickers.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now, in regards to the Proline stuff, and still, what
Mhm.
do you guys, what do you require as far as training for somebody to be able to purchase Proline from RKM?
Oh, that's the big, like, crazy gray area in the
Yeah.
market right now. Like, if you look federally, and I can't speak for every state because there may be states that have some sort of restriction on it, but
Yeah.
there is no requirement. You could literally sell Proline to anybody. Um, However, we're trying to be a responsible industry, so we're requiring proof of pyrotechnic training. Um, that can come in a few different forms. There's people that we known for years that shoot stuff that we will vet ourselves, since like you are a professional, you've been shooting fireworks for us for like 6 years, or or we know you through the club and we've worked with you for years and we know that you're safe with this stuff. I oh, I shouldn't get on a soapbox, but it's like, my biggest gripe about this whole Proline thing is like, okay, so we're going to require proof of pyrotechnic training for you to buy a cake, which you could is essentially the same device that you can go to a store and buy. Okay, so you're going to go through a class and get trained on how to do this, but yet if I go get my ATF license, pay $100 or whatever, I don't need any training. I go buy 10-inch shells, and
It's funny. We
yeah,
were just talking about this last week on
yep,
the episode.
Yeah,
That's the
absolutely. Yeah.
exact same thing. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy that all you have to do is just pass a psych evaluation from, an
A
ATF
background check.
agent, come into your house, you get your Type 54, and you can go buy 10-inch shells. You can manufacture, but I have to have an 8-hour class, or what is it? Missouri's 12 hours.
I think 12.
12-hour
It's
class
12,
to be able
yeah.
to buy Proline. It's
Yeah.
just
and I think that's
crazy.
still in flux right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
There's stuff that's in the works, but I don't even know if it's going to pass this session. It's probably going to get kicked to next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. I think next year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, another thing here, I think, is you guys have a special permit, I believe, to be able to import some of that stuff.
Yep.
What is that permit, and what does that allow you to do, and how does that work?
So several of these devices, to export them out of China, they need to be classified as a 1.3 device. So the special permit goes even though this was a 1.3 device in China, we know that it meets the requirements of the APA standard coming into the US, and thus we can relabel that as long as we have the proper EX number for it to a 1.4 UN 0431 device in the United States.
Yeah. So
Is that specific to certain EX numbers?
No, you just have to have a valid EX number
Okay.
that is. So if this device, however, in its composition, all you need is that EX number that is an 0431 designated number.
yeah.
Yep.
So when single shots come in packed 50-1, I mean, how are we combating, not having to label 50 single shots to a case, especially since, they like to come 1,100 cases to a container.
Yeah. Right now, it all depends on how they're getting out of China.
Right.
Luckily, a lot of the ones that we've been able to bring in are 336 for professional use only. And those EX numbers, unless something crazy happens here in the next year or so, they're probably going to be around for a while. I mean, there's well over 3,000 EX numbers that are 336 for professional use only.
Yeah.
PHMSA wants those to be converted to 0431, but that has to be a voluntary conversion, which, yeah, you can just see all these, trading companies jumping on converting their 336 to 0431.
Yeah.
So, single shots for the most part, in China are a 1.4 item, and for all practical purposes, they should be a 1.4 336 0431. China doesn't recognize 0431, and that is the whole crux of the issue here. If China did recognize 0431, these would ship out as 0431. We'd import them as 0431, and it wouldn't be a big deal.
Right.
But I'm hoping we don't get to the point where we have to relabel, 50 devices in a case, and you get into the whole dual labeling and all that stuff.
Is there a reason why China doesn't recognize 0431, or is it just they just don't want to?
To my understanding, it's just their GB standard does not have a designation for 0431.
Okay.
They only talk about 335 and 336.
So I know you mentioned like the dual labeling. So, for instance, we have our 25 shot, 20-second, and 4-second salute cakes. On the top of the label, it says 1.3 China, and then 0431 1.4 USA. Do you foresee maybe that happening on single shots as well with the dual labeling?
It could, as long as the powers that be don't crack down and say, no, you can't dual label anything anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, even dual labeling, getting them out of China, I think they're bending some rules
Oh, okay.
to make that happen. On the U.S. side, you should probably get in trouble now or something. Yeah, I know dual labeling has been done in the past, but I'm not sure of how proper that is. So.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And then I know they mentioned, was it 2 or 3 years before 2020 about the new rules coming out for articles. How long did you study that, the rules, before you decided that, you were wanting to jump down the avenue and start producing new article items?
That day. I mean, as soon as I saw what that was and what those standards were, I'm like, all right, why aren't we doing this? And that's when I started having conversations with people, and we partnered with a couple trading companies over there, and they've really spearheaded this whole endeavor, making it happen. I want to say that, luckily for us, I can't speak in 100%, but I want to say we were probably had a 6 month to a year lead in a lot of it.
production as well, I believe, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Yep.
And now everybody has Proline.
No, everybody does.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how do you feel about that?
I, I think everybody that knows this market knows that it's not this massive market. It's not it's not the consumer market. The
Yeah.
consumer market is the large pie. Um,
Was it like 3%, I believe, or even less than that is Proline?
it could be. I haven't looked at the numbers lately to see what's come. Oh, that's the other problem is like what's been shipped in. I don't know how much people are sitting on it
Right.
because they thought they could move it and couldn't.
Right.
So uh, yeah, I mean it's not as big a market as everyone I guess believes it to be. So, but a lot of the trading companies over there saw it as an opportunity to make money at the time, which probably made this happen more so. There was a massive decrease in orders because the U.S. at the time had a backlog or back warehouse of I don't know a plethora of consumer fireworks. So
Yeah.
our orders really didn't hit there. And then the trading companies like, how are we going to make money? Hey, everybody wants Proline, and then they started coming out with their own Proline
Yeah.
and pushing that. And now what? NFA has got probably 13 companies demoing Proline on Wednesday night.
Yeah. It
So
is. I was gonna say even last year it was astronomical the amount of Proline that was put up.
yeah, it's flooding the market at this point.
Yeah.
So
And do you feel like everybody bringing in Pro, like the competition, is going to help improve the market with quality of product coming in, or do you think it's going to hinder the industry?
sheesh. I It's hard for me to say, but I think a lot of these people are jumping in late to the game and
Yeah,
they're
I agree.
not putting on quality product or they're not bringing in quality product. It's getting put together quick and fast, and that doesn't normally translate very well to good product coming here. But then there's a lot of it that's way outside the specs too.
Yes.
We're seeing 2-inch, 2.5-inch salute cakes as articles, and it's like, okay, well, it's supposed to be a 6 gram maximum is a
Right.
salute, you know, and you can in a 1-inch bore hit your 6 grams no problem. So basically, anything over a 1-inch bore, if it's going to be compliant, is just a joke.
Yeah.
So there's no point in bringing something in that big if you want it to be compliant. But there's a lot of technically non-compliant stuff that's coming onto the market.
Yeah. So I guess I would lead more to talking about like the compliant stuff. So, um, say you have 10 different companies bringing in Proline. Do you think that I'm gonna kind of drop some names, but like, you have
Hmm.
Night Owl, you have Raccoon, you have Spirit of 76. Like, do you think the competition will um, help spearhead, like, all right, well, this is the best brand, or, help improve, help um, gear different companies to move towards building better product for the industry?
I, you'd hope that would be what the end result is. I always have felt that competition does make things better
Yeah,
because yeah, that. But a lot of the pro line that's being brought on is an afterthought. They're just seeing it as,
dollar signs.
oh yeah, the U.S. likes this, so now we're going to offer it. And yeah, how cheap is it being made?
Right.
What's the I don't know. Yeah, it's like even now, what's the big social media effect? Oh, it's a long duration white strobe with
Yep.
smoke, at night. Oh, so let's, and boom, Raccoon has a cake out there that's doing that. Is it quality? Is it good? I don't know. I haven't seen, we see a production video, but production videos are production, or I'm sorry, it's not a production video. It's a tech
Pre-production.
built.
Yeah,
Yeah,
tech build.
tech
Yeah.
built. So, the production's not going to be nearly as good as that. I don't know. It's And then a lot of these new effects that people are trying to push have shelf life issues, have was it built in the rainy season? Was it built in the dry season?
Right,
All
right.
these have a huge effect
Wow.
on what the quality is going to be when it gets here.
Yeah. I mean, take smoke cakes for a prime example. I mean, if
Hmm.
you build it during the raining season, that composition's going to get hard in there, and it's not going to produce that
Yep.
waterfall that you really want. So
Yeah. Same with the howls. The
the
howls, if
howls,
they're
yeah,
produced in the
exactly.
wet, they
Huh.
have a issue. And most of the U.S. production now is being pushed to that wet rainy season.
Right.
Most of our stuff is going to be built, if you're lucky.
Post Chinese New Year.
Yeah, that's the majority of it.
Yeah.
If you're lucky, you'll get built late September to the end of October, and then they shift all over to domestic production
Yeah.
until the domestic demand dies for it, and then they'll start shifting them around again. But
Yeah.
yeah, the majority of our stuff is built March through hot weather shutdown,
Yeah.
sometime May, June,
Yeah.
June-ish.
I think June-ish. Yeah, they're probably going to start shutting down here pretty quick.
So,
Hmm.
do you think that some of the new Proline products like salutes and stuff like that are in Proline? Do you think that it has curbed some of the overload non-compliant stuff, or has it just flared that stuff up even more?
Um, so I think Proline has hurt the overload, quote unquote, overload market.
Yeah.
But it has now created a complete open avenue for non-compliant consumer devices to get their way into the country. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, they're bringing in Proline and wrapping it in a color box as
yeah,
opposed to wrapping the whole cake in paper. Yep.
right.
I'm seeing that more and
Yeah,
more.
and this is what we're dealing with the powers that be. You have CPSC that's regulating consumer products. You have the ATF that are regulating display products. You don't have a body that's regulating Proline, and both those agencies are kind of looking to the firework industry and say, "Hey, can you guys self-regulate this?" And this is why we're talking about proof of pyrotechnic training and kind of a paper trail there, and you know that's the big that is the issue right now is
Yeah. And did you see PGI announce that they're going to be hosting a Proline class at PGI this year?
Oh, I hadn't seen yet.
Yeah, I think they just announced that last week, Donnie.
Yeah. Towards the end of April, they announced
Yeah.
it's a pro use only class, a 4-hour class designed specifically towards Proline product.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, because that's the other issue. You go to these display operator classes, and they're teaching you the ins and the outs for doing professional displays, where
Yeah.
you're large bore stuff that you're talking about. The majority of the Proline devices, I mean, are cakes, are single shots. All these little specialty effects and stuff. It it doesn't take a lot of time to kind of train, and all that stuff is glossed over in a lot of traditional training.
Yeah.
You're kind of taught that stuff in the field.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's nice to see that they'll have a class that would kind of focus on safe handling of those particular devices.
Yeah, because I know even in our PGI training, we've kind of introduced a little bit more 1.4 Pro training because, I mean, primarily that's, people are coming to the class to learn so they can buy Proline, not so they can
Right.
shoot 1.3 displays.
Which is also great to see that people are willing to learn
Yeah,
to buy this stuff. So, that's great.
yeah. So speaking of 1.3, how is the storage of 1.3 different from 1.4 versus 1.4 Pro?
So 1.3 storage is at the top level federally regulated.
Right.
So you have to have a ATF approved magazine, and then it trickles down from there. Certain states have certain licensing or restrictions on 1.3 display. or additional licensing that has to be done. 1.4 and Pro, you got to look at your state level to see if they have any particular verbiage in it, and then you have to always comply with your local, and sometimes the local restrictions are the worst of them.
Yeah, more
Now,
restrictive
for
than
that, now
federal.
for you as obviously an importer, you obviously have 1.3, 1.4, 1.4 Pro all at your place. Do you have to keep that separated in different types of storage facilities because they are different?
It's not worth the effort to store 1.4 in a 1.3 container just because of the cost that a 1.3 container and the space that it takes up distance wise. But there are some restrictions for, like, if you are a 1.4 retailer, technically you're not allowed to store, display, or articles on the same property as the retail location. If you're going to retail those, if you're going to wholesale them, then that's the gray area. But yeah, and then every state has different definitions on what wholesale is versus retail, and yeah.
Yeah.
Each one of these topics are hour long.
Very. That they are. What fireworks does RKM ship? I mean, via freight terminals or freight companies.
Ground.
Ground, yes, yeah, yeah.
So we can easily ship 1.4 consumer and proline articles. That's the easy stuff to ship.
And those can ship on the same container, same
Yep.
same skid, yeah.
Same
Yep.
pallet.
Yep.
Yeah, same
Those can
pallet.
all
Yep.
those can all be mixed and matched and shipped together. 1.3 is a whole different animal. If you're doing full truckloads, that's no problem. But if you're doing mixed loads, then it's normally private companies that are moving 1.3.
Right. Yep.
Now, does RKM ship 1.3, or you guys just do delivery and pickup?
We, depending on the distance, and our biggest limitation right now is we don't have a lot of Class A drivers, but we have a few of them, and as long as you're within a 1 day drive and it makes sense, we'll definitely quote out a price to ship it to you. But yeah, moving 1.3 is expensive. Oh,
Very
moving anything's
expensive.
expensive. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. And then where all do we deliver 1.4 and 1.4 Pro?
As long as no attorney generals are listening. I mean, we ship nationwide
Yeah.
right now. Certain states prohibit that.
Yes.
So, we try to, definitely don't ship to those states unless you have a permit or something to receive. But yeah.
And then some freight terminals are restrictive on even allowing fireworks to come through their terminal to even pass through those states.
Yeah. Especially on the consumer side, a lot of the state laws address consumer, but they don't address articles. So shipping articles in some way is easier than shipping consumer.
Yeah.
As silly as it sounds, I can still ship articles pyrotechnic ground, like through FedEx, and not freight. So
right.
Yeah, as long as it's 0431. If it's 336, then you can't ship it ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then for you guys deliver to like all of the firework events and conventions that you guys go to, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
and we try to keep a list up on the site that where we're delivering to and the dates and everything.
Cutoff times and discounts and everything. Yep.
And then depending on those events, depends on if you can get 1.3 delivered at them, right? Because I know you do deliver 1.3 to some events and conventions.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yep. It's just on if we have a driver. Normally, for all those events, we have a driver that can bring 1.3. So.
And then, how soon can people place orders for those deliveries?
Geez, yeah. I think we're taking them whenever they come in. I mean, there's ones that were almost 6 months to a year out, and they're placing orders.
Yeah, we have orders already, I think, in the system for PGI and Sky Wars. So, yeah.
Now, to hold those orders, you guys require like deposits up front to be able to hold those orders, or can people just place an order without putting the money there?
Typically 50% deposit to hold. Yeah, and how do you say it without fear mongering? It's like some of these items, are already sold out. They're gone for the season. So, if you want something for say PGI and it's in stock now, you should probably place an order because, Brody even Pyro.
It was a week and a half
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we brought that up a couple weeks ago. Yeah, it's just a week and a half and just gone. It's incredible.
Yeah, I think we got another small shipment of it coming, but once that comes in, it's like, hey, this is it for the season. Once it's gone, it's gone. It's like, showing a box number 1 and 2, they're gone.
They're gone. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that'll be next fall at the earliest before we get them again.
Yeah, and maybe we don't want to bring this up, but any new products in the works?
All the time.
All the time. All right.
No, nothing else. No other hints.
The thing that sucks about it is there's so much stuff that we have on order that hasn't been produced yet and hasn't shipped. So odds are it will be produced and it will ship sometime here. But there's some of the stuff we just got into. Like we have a 300 shot smoke zipper cake that just came in. I think that's fairly unique. 100 shot smoke waterfall cake. I know that type of effect has been around, but a little bit bigger effect and duration. We're one of the
trying to be innovative for sure.
Yeah, one of the new devices that we're hoping to have at some point in time this year is we're trying to make a Articles Pyrotechnic version of the Rainbow Bridge cake that Ledoux kind of spearheaded way back in the day. So let's take that device, shrink the bore size down a little bit so you don't have to spread the thing out 400 or 500 feet, and make it maybe a little more backyard friendly, or Skywars friendly, or whatever.
Yeah.
We got to start working on that Pyro Unleashed cake, don't we?
The Pyro Unleashed cake.
The Pyro Unleashed cake. Yeah, we need to start working on that.
Yeah, I'm sure something can happen. Just 250 case MOQ. Yeah. So, any other questions, Donnie? Or?
We just gotta sell a cake to every listener. That's all we gotta do.
That's not hard to do.
That's not. Yeah, it should be hard. Yeah.
It's case, not a cake.
Yeah, one case. Yeah. Say if you have over 200 listeners, you get your MOQ. So you're good.
Yeah. Well, get your pre-orders in. Start putting them up on Discord. So perfect. Any other questions, Donnie?
No, I think we covered. I think we covered a whole wide gamut of stuff tonight with Bryan, and definitely great getting a chance to talk with Bryan and meet Bryan, and get some of the insights on the fire business.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you again, Bryan. I know you're busy, but we really appreciate you coming on and finding the time and everything going on. And want to remind everybody to send in your questions for season 2, episode 1. We're going to have Craig Hetherington back for PGI. I know we have some questions already in about the site and when like a site map's going to get out. I think we were just talking off the air. I think we're going to try and air that the 24th of July will be season 2, episode number 1.
Our return.
Yeah.
Our return.
The return. So with that being said, have a great 4th of July season. Stay safe.
Yes.
And we'll see you soon at events. I know we'll talk more episode 1 of season 2, where we're going to be at, and where you can catch us, and where you can catch RKM. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we got a lot of fun stuff planned already for season 2, sponsorship, and we got guests lined up for season 2 already. So we are.
So we got sponsorship for season 2. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, we are going to be rolling next season. It's like again, so having a lot of good fun, and I guess instead of closing out, we'll see you next week. We're going to close it out with tonight. Everybody go out there, like you said, have a safe holiday season. Go out there and unleash your inner pyro, and we will see you all in season number 2.
Celebrate safely.
This has been another episode of Pyro Unleashed. Come back each week for more industry insights, technical tips, and awesome pyro designs. Have fun out there, be safe, and as always, remember to unleash your inner pyro with us.